evening. Welcome to Have I Got News For You? I'm Victoria Coren Mitchell. In the news this week, in the Midlands, one train driver is unaware of just how far behind schedule they are with the construction of HS2. While the world's most important people meet up in Glasgow, one man begins to wonder whether his invitation was delivered next door. And in Michigan, a food manufacturer admits that some crystal meth may have been knocked into their mayonnaise mixing vats. On Ian's team tonight is a journalist who once said, if you tell people that they're wrong, then they stop listening to you, which makes hosting a quiz a bit of a challenge. Please welcome Helen Lewis. On Paul's team tonight is a comedian who once performed a Shakespeare play set in a shoe shop. The reviews weren't great, but it was fantastic for all the actors involved to get that training for working in a shop. Please welcome Maisie Adam. We begin with the bigger news stories of the week. Ian and Helen, take a look at this.
Well, this is last week's story. Absolutely no new sleaze allegations coming out this week, as I can see.
Yes, that's the House of Lords. That'll be a knighthood. Thank you very much. Oh, a peerage. Thank you very much. 2 peerages now we're talking. 3 peerages. And would you like to be Commissioner for Standards? I can throw that in. Oh, talking of low standards, here he comes.
Sir Geoffrey Cox arriving for his second job as an MP.
So this is sleaze, which, just hasn't gone away. You'd think we'd get over it. And the public's not interested. I mean, the government's saying, move on, nothing to see.
Do you have a favourite terrible second job? Because I've been kind of reading through, trying to decide which one I think is really just the grubbiest, the lowest and the grubbiest.
OK, go for it.
I think Ian Duncan-Smith and the hand sanitizer is my favourite one.
Now, Ian Duncan-Smith, it's a consultancy for a hand sanitising firm.
An alcohol-free hand sanitizer.
Yes.
Can't even drink it.
He thinks...
No, presumably they need somebody with, well, dirtiest hands possible, and he was the best candidate by a mile. Surely.
Do you know about Philip Dunn? He worked for an aerospace company, former Minister of Defence, and working for an aerospace company, he has constantly pushed for more spending on military matters.
Good grief.
That's just because he cares about aerospace in the same way that Owen Paterson just cared very deeply about milk standards.
I used to think there was a gap on the confectioner's shelves. I'm not going to explain it, but in aerospace is a bar of dear. Well, first of all, you've got to time that laugh on a calendar. And the applause was deeply patronising. Thank you very much. You've made my Christmas.
We saw Geoffrey Cox in the footage there. What's his other job?
What isn't his other job? I mean, he's taken nearly £1 million in a year for giving advice to a tax haven, which wasn't, have you thought about paying some tax? It's the only advice really you need to give to a tax haven. And he just seems to have done an enormous amount. I mean, he was sort of clocking in 30 hours a week on top of, allegedly, his main full-time job as an MP. And he issued this magnificently pompous statement where he said, Sir Geoffrey Cox doesn't think he's done anything wrong, actually. Sir Geoffrey Cox is very happy, and also you can't get Sir Geoffrey Cox because he's got a massive majority, so Sir Geoffrey Cox says, yeah. There was a headline that said Brazen Cox, which I thought would be a great drag name.
Oh, Brazen Cox.
But not a great barbecue.
It's not against the rules, though, is it, to have 2 jobs?
Well, again, it's he does appear to have broken a number of rules. You're allowed to do 2 jobs, but you're not really allowed to do the second job in your office in Parliament. And one of the newspapers caught him conducting a Zoom meeting for his other job while he was in Parliament. And then the bell went and he had to go and vote. Oh, for goodness sake, how annoying is that?
There's an alternative view, though, isn't there? The International Trade Secretary, Anne-Marie Trevelyan...
Yeah.
Yes.
...expressed what alternative view about second jobs?
She rather unfortunately said that MPs having second jobs added a richness to Parliament. Which is one of the few true things said this week.
See, I think they should all be made to have second jobs, but they can't earn more than £10 an hour. It would be quite useful.
Yeah.
The trouble is, can you imagine... I mean, Chris Grayling is one of these MPs who takes quite a lot of money from a ports company. If he turned up as your care assistant, I mean, you'd long for the sweet release of death.
I mean, for balance, I feel I should point out Keir Starmer has also made money working as a barrister. Is he relevant enough for that to matter? And Boris Johnson has faced anger from MPs on all sides. How has he responded to that?
By refusing to apologise and not admitting that he'd done anything wrong.
And staying away.
Yes, he
the
didn't
debate.
even turn up to the debate.
Yeah.
He said he had to visit a hospital.
Maternity ward, probably.
When Boris Johnson was ready to robustly defend the country, what did he say about Britain?
It wasn't corrupt.
He did. He stated Britain is not a corrupt country.
Yes.
And this is classic, the Prime Minister. He thinks if he says it, it's true. Whereas we all think the opposite.
There's the thing, the fact that he says it reminds me, Charlie Brooker once said, imagine if you moved into a new home and some people knocked on the door and said, hello, we're your non-dogging neighbours. How did the Environment Minister, George Eustace, describe... How did he describe the Commons debacle over the Owen Paterson business?
Was it storm in a teacup?
It's just a storm in a teacup. He said on Times Radio, the Prime Minister is very loyal and doesn't like being bounced into doing the wrong thing.
No, he does the wrong thing voluntarily.
What did Mr Johnson not rule out in terms of Owen Paterson's future?
Membership of the House of Lords, which would be suitable punishment for lobbying. No, incredibly. I mean, it's still on the cards. I personally think it won't happen because you need about £3 million to get into the House of Lords now, and I just don't think Paterson's got the money.
Ian, that's very unfair. Some of those Tory treasurers simply happened. The money just fell out of their pockets into the Conservative funds as they were doing the great philanthropy that meant they landed in the Lords.
Yes, but it is funny that just being treasurer of the Conservative Party and giving £3 million got all of them a peerage. I mean, you would think they'd bought it. I mean, obviously, I didn't think that, because, you know, I want to stay out of jail. I don't terribly.
It was found that a series of treasurers had donated £3 million and got peerages. But the House of Lords is a marvellous institution, and it's not knock it, because there's some wonderful people in there. Who knows about Lord Wolfson of Tredegar? I mean, he made a wonderful contribution to cultural life.
I watched a very strange speech he gave in which he fantasised about what would happen were a normal gentleman on the beach taking an erotic photograph of his wife and someone happened to be breastfeeding in the back and he caught her nipple in his photograph. Would it then be committing a crime? And you thought, you've given this a lot of thought.
Yeah. Let's just delve into that a little bit more deeply. So some people said, if a woman's breastfeeding her child, you shouldn't take a picture without her wanting it. Well, Lord Wolfson couldn't stand for that because what if a man was taking a photo of his own wife on the beach for his own gratification and might unintentionally include a shot of a woman he didn't know with her breast out, suckling?
I mean, it's true. I mean, during the summer, you can barely get into the sea for women breastfeeding their kids on the sea.
You just think, don't you? You could have just given it to one person to proofread before and go, I don't know, mate. I think I'd maybe take the bit out about getting off on your wife.
That I thought was romantic. The idea of taking...
You thought that was romantic?
A man taking a picture of his wife for his own gratification. It was the suckling that I stopped thinking about that, Lord.
Just lean up against the pier a little bit more, darling. I want to get the Donkey Derby in the background.
Why, thanks to another Lord, do we not know as much as we might know about the awarding of hundreds of millions of pounds of COVID testing contracts? It's Lord Bethel. He deleted some WhatsApp messages from his phone to free up space.
Sure.
Previously, he was a junior health minister. He hadn't been able to show the messages because his phone was lost and it was also broken and defective. And then he said he'd given that phone to a member of his family and bought a different
Oh,
phone.
my God.
It's a nice present, isn't it, for a member of the family? This defective, broken old phone.
Which is also lost, so they've got to find it for themselves.
4 excuses about not producing the WhatsApp messages. I mean, do we think he had something to hide?
Well, the other option is that his phone is full of something else that he just doesn't want people to see. Hundreds of photos of suckling.
For his own gratification.
How was Nadine Dorris embarrassed this week?
She woke up.
She's introducing a bill to reduce online media abuse.
Yes.
She said, you know, you've got to stop this sort of online abuse of people. It's actually terrible. And then someone found an old tweet where she'd directly messaged James O'Brien on LBC and called him a fuckwit.
That's not an old family name. He's not one of the... not one of the fuckwits of Hampshire.
And I think people drew the conclusion that perhaps the Minister for Culture... I know, it makes me laugh thinking of it. Shouldn't be directly abusing a journalist on a radio programme for disagreeing with her.
It's so stupid as well to DM somebody. Like, when I get trolled on Twitter, it's somebody who doesn't have their picture on their Twitter and their handle is something completely, like, nondescript or giving any clues to who they are. But when you've got a DM from Nadine Dorris, MP, with a smiling away, verified tick, you can't really go, oh, it wasn't me, it must have been a fake account.
Well, someone sent me an unbelievably rude pigeon.
Did it sit on your windowsill, sticking 2 feathers up at you?
I just ignored him. I just said, you're blocked, and I pulled the sash.
A lot of UK politicians are getting flack at the moment, but let's spare a thought for the Dutch politician Janus Boy. Can you guess what happened to him?
Yes, I should think people are making fun of his name, being Janus. Probably saying, what does the J stand for?
Well,
See, what I'm saying there is that the could be a first name and anus could be a second. See, Aero, it's a bar of chocolate. You've got space on the shelf.
Janus Boy, the Dutch MP, had an unfortunate problem with one of his election posters. Some of the letters were bleached out.
Ah, yes.
Oh.
We can just have a look.
In the old days, that used to be a card in a newsagent's window.
This is the revelation that an increasing number of Conservative MPs have more than one job. In 2015, Geoffrey Cox claimed expenses for a 49p bottle of milk, £2 worth of tea bags and £4.99 for a weed killer. He was making a nice cup of tea for Nick Clegg at the time. Also this week, Dutch politician Janus Boy has found that his election pictures have been defaced. Either that, or Marvel have almost run out of superheroes.
Are you going to ask us about the pissed MPs?
Going to Gibraltar?
Yeah, that was a good story.
3 MPs, 2 SNP, 1 Labour, all got so leathered in either the BA lounge or on the plane that the Labour one had to be taken off in a wheelchair. The Scottish ones carried on through.
Paul and Maisie,
yes,
get the big environmental story of the week.
Excellent.
Oh.
Right, well... What do we think that is?
It's harrowing, that's what it is.
It is... That was last week, wasn't it, Halloween? I know, Halloween. Well, judging by the 2 small potatoes there being given us as a clue, because somebody in the programme thinks we're probably a bit thick and haven't worked it out, is that a massive potato?
Yes. Did you not hear about the massive potato?
No, I didn't, no.
He's been named Doug.
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 Doug, the massive potato.
Yes, because he was dug up by Colin and Donna Craig Brown, weighing a healthy 7.8 kilograms. Here's Colin describing the amazing moment.
I got the fork and jabbed into it and hoiked it out of the ground and holy snapping turtle teeth. What's going on here? What is it? I said to Donna, I said, no, it's a potato. And she went, no. I said, yeah, it is.
Very good.
What do you think Doug's owners have done with him subsequently?
Doug's owners?
Oh.
Well,
Is His parents.
His parents, his mummy and daddy.
They've dressed him in a hat. And,
No.
and they take him for walks.
No, that's not taking him for walks. That's taking a trolley for a walk that's got a potato on it.
Who is this bad news for, do you think?
The second biggest potato in the world.
There you go.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. It was a title held proudly in Britain. Peter Glazebrook.
The second biggest potato in the world is called Peter Glazebrook.
Peter Glazebrook is the proud grower
I see.
Okay.
of
Proud
the
grower.
second biggest potato, 5
goodness
kilograms.
Yeah.
But he can be comforted in the knowledge that he still holds what?
He still holds a potato.
No, he's got the world's record for the world's largest cauliflower. Let's have a look at it. There you go.
Oh, my
That's well.
Well, I'm not sure that's a cauliflower. I think that's him doing a can-can dance.
So that's a lovely story. And now let's talk about the end of the world. What's the other environmental thing that's going on?
Well, obviously, the big conference in Glasgow. China and America have agreed to cut some emissions.
And someone who didn't do that is Joe Biden. He farted in front of Camilla,
I love this story so much.
which genuinely seems to have been the best thing that's ever happened to her. She seems delighted by it.
I mean, a source told the Daily Mail it was long and loud and impossible to ignore. Camilla hasn't stopped talking about it.
Incredible. For Camilla, I'm not surprised she's not stopped talking about it. Imagine how boring some of her days are. And then she goes and meets Joe Biden, and you just sort of see him lean to the side, thinking it's going to be quiet, and it's just...
I thought it was the Queen's birthday. It sounded like a 21-gun salute.
What did Barack Obama say about Scotland?
He was like one of those rock stars that kind of go, hello, Wembley, and they're in, Glasgow. He said he loved being in the Emerald Isle.
Oh.
Not just that. Not just that. He said, since we're in the Emerald Isle here, let me quote the bard, William Shakespeare.
Again, just hand your speech to someone else before you go out there.
And what has Liz Truss been doing to show how energy efficient she is?
She's having pictures of herself taken somewhere.
Yes. Here she is in Thailand.
Oh, my God.
What wasn't she photographed doing? She wasn't photographed when she met Richard Ratcliffe, the husband of Nazanin Zaghari Ratcliffe.
He's on hunger strike.
She didn't want there to be a picture of her telling a desperate, starving, heartbroken man that she's failed yet again to do anything about
Why
his
would
problems.
she duck that photo?
I mean, they're there saying, oh, we can persuade China and Russia to cut emissions. We can manage outside Europe. You can't get a housewife on a plane back to her family after 6 years, and you can't even get off your motorbike and explain why not. What, does anyone know, has John Prescott be doing to battle climate change?
He's turned from 2 Jags into no Jags. He doesn't drive any Jags anymore, which I think is an incredible target, because he's done that within 40 years.
He also said that he's been doing his bit for the planet by eating at a chip shop, which, according to Mail Online, uses energy-efficient fryers.
Yeah, those monkfish.
This is the news that the world's largest potato has been discovered in New Zealand.
Blimey, we've come a long way since then.
Since duck has started to go mouldy and smelly, he's been placed in a freezer until he's ready to be turned into vodka, which coincidentally are exactly the same instructions I've left in my funeral plan. Also this week, the G20 continued in Glasgow. US Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez sampled Iron Brew for the first time, stating, I love it, it's got pizzazz. If your pizzazz is that colour, I'd see a doctor. And so to round 2, the one-armed bandit of news.
Yes.
Fingers on buzzers, teams.
Judging by the last real turning and revealing Meghan Markle, it's a story about her. There's currently a court case going on at the moment. Her and the Daily Mail are doing battle in court. And she just remembered the other day that she had briefed some of her advisors to help somebody to write a biography, I think it was. And she'd forgotten to say that, and then she remembered it.
And she had to apologise for misleading the court.
Yeah.
Well, it was one advisor, wasn't it? Jason Knauf, her press guy.
Jason Knauf.
Jason Knauf.
Jason Knauf.
How do you know how to pronounce it?
Where do you stand on Dennis the Menace and Ganasha? Are you sympathetic to Meghan briefing somebody here?
I am a little bit. It's tricky because they step back from the sort of public eye, but then if you know that somebody's writing untruths about you, surely you should be able to kind of go, oh, just set that right, but also, like, I'm not anything to do with it. I'm not contributing the sort of subject.
It's not
to
about
it.
truth or not truth, this particular case. This is about the privacy of her letter. So it's not whether it's true or not.
Oh, this isn't for the biography.
Well, this is what also came out was the fact that she had said that they had not cooperated at all with this biography, Confiding Freedom. But mysteriously enough, it was the one bit of incredibly intimate detail about them they hadn't complained about or threatened to sue over, and it slightly gave away the game that they were OK with it.
People really want to believe that this biography just came from nowhere. These two people just had all this information, they wrote it up. Just like Diana's book, where there was a biography of her by Andrew Morton. And everyone said, God, how on earth did Andrew Morton know all this stuff? Because Diana gave him all the information. This is how the royal family operate. And then this week, Prince Harry comes out and says, it's appalling. I mean, people are dishonest. They tell lies. Your wife's just apologised to the appeal court for misleading the court. You cannot have it both ways.
Do you think she wrote that letter then intending it to be leaked?
She had a conversation with the aide about how it would read if it was leaked and whether she should put the word daddy into it and whether it would pull the heartstrings when it was leaked.
I must say, I think that's not quite fair. She's thinking, right, well, on the one hand, I want to write to my father. On the other hand, he is almost certainly going to sell it to someone. Should I get a bit of help making sure that if it is leaked, it comes out right?
She should have put a few obvious crazy lies in there, like the Duke of Edinburgh did cut the brake cables in the car. Do you not think? I know who did 9/11.
Yeah, but the thing is, with Meghan Markle, they wouldn't go, oh, that's clearly a lie. They'd go, Meghan Markle did 9/11. Like, that's what they'd go with.
You just can't have it both ways. Harry's saying it's appalling that the lies that have been told, and he's done a deal with Netflix. Has he seen The Crown? Unbelievable. I mean, he should...
I thought you meant then, has he seen The Crown? Like, I think he knows what happens in the end.
Yeah. But, you know, his mother's best friend has just resigned from The Crown, saying they're telling a load of lies. This is rubbish, this programme. Harry, no, I'll have 100 million, thank you. We are allowed to think they're a bit bogus.
He doesn't write The Crown, Harry. He's not involved in The Crown.
No, but he's taken 100 million from Netflix, who produced The Crown. This is what they call conflict of interest. We can't lambast our own MPs and say, Harry, oh, no, not him. He's got a beard.
To be fair...
In other news, who was said to have committed treason this week?
Not Prince Andrew again.
No, it's an artist, 24/6, who posted online a portrait he'd done of Her Majesty. Did you see the portrait?
Oh, my... She looks like a chihuahua.
That's the painting on the left there.
It looks a bit like Alan Johnson in drag.
He did Prince Andrew as well. Do you want to see?
Yeah.
Oh, he's like a thumb.
Strangely true to life.
Sticking with things that are offensive to the eye.
Yes.
Has anyone heard of Steve Goldman of Huddersfield? He's put something on display. It's his collection of dreadful album covers.
Oh, brilliant.
Steve has a collection of over 200 appalling record sleeves, which are going to be exhibited in a Huddersfield shopping centre. Would you like to see some of them?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
He's got Jim Post's magnificent I Love My Life.
I thought it was a shrew that had attacked him.
The tantalising Oil and Vinegar. Oh. And the pièce de résistance, Jean-Pierre Jumez's Nimble Fingers. This is the latest in a legal row over whether or not Meghan Markle briefed the authors of the biography Finding Freedom. Finding Freedom recounts the story of Meghan choosing her wedding tiara. She tried on 5 tiaras and the Queen said they all suited her. Adding, could she just fucking choose one because Westfield was about to close? Meghan Markle has been accused of using her royal title to lobby American politicians, phoning them up and saying, hello, this is the Duchess of Sussex. If I heard that, I'd assume it was the pub saying I'd left without paying again. Time now for the missing words round. And we start with, dogs' favourite TV shows include what and what?
Naked Attraction and Squid Game.
Just feel like there's the dog puns, like
Oh.
Game of Bones.
Love
That's
that.
good.
Have I got shoes for you?
Bitch of the day. Bitch of the day too.
Strictly Come Dogging.
There's no puns involved. Dog's favourite TV shows include The Mandalorian and Mr. Bean.
Oh.
There you go. It was a genuine study to determine dogs' favourite TV shows. Dogs generally prefer dramas to comedy. Sitcoms led to an increased rate of stress. One episode of Mrs. Brown's Boys had them begging to be taken to the vet and put down. Next, UK facing major what shortage this winter?
Is it integrity?
UK facing major fake tan shortage this winter. Supply problems with a key chemical used in fake tan could lead to a shortage in the coming months. According to suppliers, the supplies of fake tan could run out in December, which means Newcastle will be having a white Christmas. And finally, Richard Desmond angry at being labelled what on Wikipedia?
It's ex-porn baron.
Yes.
But the missing word is...
Pornographer.
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 Being called a pornographer isn't the most embarrassing thing in the article. In 2010, he bought Channel 5. It's good now, though, Channel 5. It's good. Your caravan show was on Channel 5, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, but it was about motorhomes, but thank you.
Oh,
Yeah, we put the name motorhome in the title and we drove around in a motorhome for 6 programmes, but I can see why you thought it was a caravan. A caravan that doesn't have an engine. You tow a
the caravan has to be
And a
attached-
motorhome is a combined motor in a home. And they can't think of what to call it. So they decided on motorhome.
So the final scores are Ian and Helen have 3 points, Paul and Maisie have 6.
Oh.
We're getting...
But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
A man struggles to remember where he left large yellow farm vehicle.
Is he just going, I followed through, fetch the pooper scooper?
And I leave you with news that one man realises it may not have been the right moment to try and offload a couple of spare season tickets for Yorkshire County Cricket Club. After realising he's allowed to have more than one job, one man receives his 98th rejection email of the day. And in London, Greg Wallace quickly realises he may have been a bit harsh while judging a local police cookery competition. Good night.
Yeah.
Heckle the night away, stand up at its finest. Watch the latest episode of Live at the Apollo, the new series now on iPlayer. So Rod Stewart and Lady Gaga are what Friday nights are made for on BBC One, with Graham Norton, of course, after the news at 10:35.